About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free. Let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Jim here. Welcome to our live A-Level Business Revision Blast. I think this is our 8th of this term, so 2 more to go before our festive edition at the end of the term. And tonight we're doing a session on product portfolio analysis. The Matrix, isn't it? The Matrix. And thinking of the Matrix, Keanu Reeves unfortunately can't be with us this afternoon. But I thought I'd get hold of somebody who's probably the closest fit we have in our team to Keanu. So great to see you, Pete. And also joining us today is Mike. So welcome to you both.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Jim. Thanks for that.
Pleasure.
Afternoon all.
Good to see you. And welcome to everyone who's joining us live. We can see from the live counter here, lots of students joining us live for this session, about 30 minutes or so. We've had about 350 students join us for the catch-up session from last week during this week. So great numbers. Really good to see you. If you're watching on catch-up, welcome too. I'm not going to spend much more time than to say to Pete and Mike, let's get cracking, because I know you've got a lot to do in this 30 minutes. So yeah, please do use the live chat if you want to have a go at the activities. And also we'll try to give you a few shout outs as we go. Mike and Pete normally mention who's first in the live chat with the right answers and any other useful contributions. I can see lots of regular faces joining us today. Fantastic stuff. Should we make a start?
Let's do it.
Okay.
So we're going to start a bit of a warm-up, and we'll start with the big reveal, as we so often do. Your task is to work out the name of the business behind the question mark before all the clues are revealed. The first clue is on the screen now. This business was founded in 2006. Business founded in 2006. You can put your answers, your guesses in the chat window. You can have as many goes as you want. Somebody called Graham has already put in an answer. It's not Apple, but thanks for guessing, Graham. Clue number 2 It's a Swedish business, and the founders are Daniel Ek and Martin Lorentzen. So founded in 2006, Swedish business. Daniel Ek and Martin Lorentzen are the founders. We've got another guess through, not a correct one. IKEA's come through, but it's not IKEA. Let's have a look at number 3. It has around 381 million active users and 172 million paying subscribers. Lots of answers coming through in the chat window. Keep them coming, please. You can have as many guesses as you want. Clue number 4. Adele asked them to remove their shuffle button. So this business were asked by Adele to remove their shuffle button. And last clue, please. It's an audio streaming service. I can see some answers coming through now, thick and fast. We've got it now. So the answer, of course, is Spotify. Well done, Mariam. I think you were the first. MJ Amos back with us. And a correct answer there. You were second, Aaron third. Lots and lots of correct answers coming through. What a great way to start the session. I'll hand over to to Pete now for some multiple choice questions.
Cheers, Mike. I think one day it might be Apple, mightn't it? I'm eagerly anticipating that day. Okay, so some quick fire MCQs coming now. According to the Boston Matrix, a product with a high market share in a low growth market is known as what? A question mark, a cash cow, a star, or a dog? Answers in the chat window, please. Is it A, B, C, or D? Couple of answers starting to come through, I think. Ben's first, followed by Olivia, Aaron, Sam, MJ. I think we've got pretty much unanimous agreement here on the live stream. Let's take a look. Indeed, it is a cash cow. And as we say each week, it is important for you to be able to contextualize this. So have an example in your back pocket of a product in a business's portfolio that would be a cash cow. Let's take a look at the next question. At which stage of the product life cycle is a strategy of price skimming most likely to be used? Does that occur at maturity, growth, introduction, or decline? So when would skimming be most appropriate? A, B, C, or D in the chat window. Ben's first with C. We might have some more unanimous agreement, possibly with this one. 2 people think C so far. My chat window might be a little bit slow in catching up. So many students in my own school tuned in at this moment in time. Let's have a look at if it's C. Okay, indeed. Okay, so when a product is first launched, skimming is most likely going to be the strategy that's used so that the business can capitalize on those early adopters and charge a high price. Okay, thanks for those contributions, folks. Well done. We've got some 2-statement multiple choice questions now. What you need to do is read through the statement on screen and decide whether statement 1 is true and whether 2 is true. If you think that's the case, put A. If you think statement 1 is true but 2 is false, put B. If you think statement 1 is false and statement 2 is true, put C. And if you think they are both false, put D. So a little bit more harder now. So statement 1 says a business manufactures a range of confectionery and snacks. It would benefit from using the Boston Matrix if it is only one product with fast-growing sales. Statement 2 reads a business manufactures a range of confectionery and snacks. It would benefit from using the Boston Matrix if its product portfolio is wide-ranging and needs careful management. Okay, so what do we think for these 2? Answers in the chat window when you can, please, folks. And if you're watching on catch-up, pause the video. So a couple of disagreements to start off with here. I thought this might occur. It requires a little bit more thought and thinking about the implications, really, of when the Boston Matrix is a useful tool. A couple more seconds just to think with this one. So I can see some disagreement. Let's take a look at the answer, please, Jim. I think Aaron was correct here in the chat with C, so well done. Let's have a think about why this is. Now, if a business has only got one product, then it's going to be unlikely to use the Boston Matrix. because there is a lack of portfolio to analyze, and the business will focus its attention on developing that product. However, if a business has got a wide range in portfolio, possibly like Coca-Cola or PepsiCo, then those different products in the portfolio need to be managed very carefully by the specific managers of those business units, and therefore they need different marketing strategies and possibly in terms of promotion and pricing strategies for each of them. So that one, a little bit tricky to get going, but here what we're really testing is your understanding of the purpose and use of the matrix. So next question. Two-statement MCQ again. Statement 1 reads, adding value to a product portfolio is likely to be more successful if the business focuses on adapting a product or service. Statement 2 reads, reducing variable cost per unit will always increase a business's added value. So we've got a bit of a synoptic link in this question here. So if you think statement 1 is true and 2 is true, put A. If you think 1 is true and 2 is false, put B. If you think 1 is false but 2 is true, put C in the chat window. And if you think they are both false, please put D. A couple of answers coming through. Bit of a difference again. And this is one of those questions where it's really important to think about the impacts and why. I can tell you that I can see a correct answer. So let's reveal all. B is what we're looking for here, okay? So adapting a product or a service to make it differentiated from that of a competitor is most likely to, the business is most likely to be able to charge more and therefore increase added value. Reducing variable cost per unit will not necessarily increase added value, because if you reduce variable cost per unit, of course, the product quality may suffer, and therefore added value is not guaranteed to occur. Okay, so think about your chains of explanation with this one again. Let's take a look at our next two-statement MCQ. One implication of too many dogs in a portfolio is that resources become drained and the business misses new opportunities. Statement 2, a broad product portfolio will help a business target a number of different market segments. So same as before, if you think that both statements are true, it's A. If you think 1 is true but 2 is false, it's B. If you think 1 is false but 2 is true, it's C. And if you think they are both false, it's D. And this one, I can see some answers flying in already. We're very quick off the mark here. I think Aaron was the first, followed by MJ Amos. I think here it looks to be unanimous. Jim's even chipped in with an A. Let's take a look at the answer, please, Jim. Yes, here we're looking for A. Too many dogs. It might be the fact it's likely that the business is going to become too focused on, well, how do they actually deal with those issues, and they may miss a new opportunity possibly in a growing market elsewhere. And that broad product portfolio will help a business target a number of different market segments. It could be that one segment is targeted at a younger audience, one might be targeted at adults from 80 to 25, etc. And that's going to bring a number of different benefits with it too. Good work so far. Let's take a look at our final two-statement MCQ. A business such as Samsung could achieve a competitive advantage over rivals such as Huawei by increasing its product development lead times. A business such as Samsung could achieve a competitive advantage over rivals such as Huawei by decreasing its product development lead times. So again, some more synoptic links made to the operations area of the course here. Same as before, if you think 1 and 2 are both true, it's A. If you think 1 is true but 2 is false, it's B. If you think 1 is false but 2 is true, it's C. And both false, it is again D. So I think with this one, we've got a little bit of variety. It might be the case that some people have gone a little bit too quick off the mark. Jim's going for C back in the TUHQ. Ben's going for C. I think that's where most of the agreement is. Let's take a look. Well done. It is C. Okay. Product development lead time obviously is the length of time that it takes to develop a product from that initial idea generation phase all the way through to bringing it to market. And the shorter the lead time, the more likely the business is to generate that competitive advantage. Thank you very much for those contributions. Wonderful to see each and every week. You've kept it going. You've kept up the trend. I'll now pass you over to Mike.
Thanks, Pete. Great answers there. Really superb stuff. And it's now time for our first calculation of the afternoon. So the calculation countdown, and the question is on the screen. The Frying Scotsman sells an average of 600 Supreme pizzas and 250 Margarita pizzas per month. Due to a promotional offer, Graham, the owner, predicted sales of Supreme pizzas to increase by 20% per month over the next 2 months. Calculate the value of the next 2 months of Supreme sales based on Graham's prediction. Okay, so calculate the value of the next 2 months of Supreme sales based on Graham's prediction. We're going to give you 60 seconds on this. I think it's worth a whole minute. Here we go. Great stuff. I neglected to tell you to put answers in the chat window. If you're still working, fear not. A minute on this is actually quite a short space of time. So have a few more seconds to put the answer in the chat window. Just following the chat there, and Jim said he wondered where Graham was. It turns out he's running a pizza outlet. Apparently he needs the dough. Graham needs the dough. Answers coming through thick and fast now. Thank you for those. And unsurprisingly, a range of answers. Let's have a look at the correct answer. So the correct answer is 1,584 Supremes over the next 2 months. So I'm looking down the chat window and I can see Sam 30 there. I think has come in with the correct answer. The first one I can see there. There's one or two others that have come through. Great work, Sam. I like the little question mark at the end there, just to hedge your bets a little bit. So sales are going to increase by 20% per month for the next 2 months. So for the first month ahead, we'll multiply 600 the current sales by 1.2. So in the first month there'll be 720. We take that 720, we multiply that by 1.2 to get sales in the second month, 864. And then if we add them together, they come to 1,584. I can see some people are able to work out the first month. Some people are also able to work out the second month. We needed to add them together to get 1,584 as the answer. Really well done if you got that right. And if you didn't, the explanation there, I hope, is able to show you what else you needed to do. Bit of exam gold. When completing calculations, which you will have to do, it's really good practice to start with a formula and show you're working out. We say this over and over again. I say it to all of my students. I know Pete does the same with his. We push this message all the time. And the reason is because if you get that final answer wrong, you may be awarded some marks if the examiner can see some evidence of understanding. Okay, so showing the formula, showing the figures and the workings of how you've reached that final answer is a much more effective way of operating. Try to do that in your exam answers. It's exam gold. Let's have another calculation. In 2018, Greggs launched the vegan sausage roll, as I well know. Its first new product for the meat-free market. So the vegan sausage roll was the first new product for the meat-free market. The UK market for meat-free foods was reportedly worth £740 million in 2018. In 2015, it was worth £539 million. Your task here is to calculate the market growth rate. Once again, 60 seconds. Here we go. Answers in the chat window, please. Great stuff. Well done. Lots of answers coming through already. As before, if you're still working, then don't panic, because 1 minute to complete the calculation might be quite ambitious. Lots of right answers. Sam 30 again first in with the correct answer, but Mariam and Aaron and Ella and lots of others with the correct answer here. We didn't specify the number of decimal places to give the answer to. If it doesn't specify, going to 2 decimal places is good practice. The correct answer, 37.29%. When we're calculating a percentage change, we're looking for the difference between the new figure and the old figure, in this case 201 million, and then we divide that by the old, or by the original figure, 539, what the market was worth in 2015, and we multiply by 100. The answer, 37.29%. And lots of correct answers have come through there. Thank you so much for your contributions with that. Bit more exam gold before I hand back to Pete. In your exam, you may be required to calculate the size of a market or how much a market has grown. So it's so important, essential even, that you can calculate, use and understand percentages and percentage changes. I find this is an area that students often dislike, often struggle with, even after getting good grades at GCSE maths. Make sure you're comfortable with percentage changes. It's not only useful for calculation questions where you're asked to carry out a percentage change or to calculate a percentage. They can also be useful if you're looking at data in a case study to manipulate that data in your answer to longer response questions. So percentage changes, absolutely vital that you are comfortable with those. Pete, let me hand over to you.
Thanks very much, Mike. I enjoyed that exam gold, 24 carat as usual. So what we'd like here, quick knowledge retrieval exercise on the features of the product life cycle. So in the chat window, can you give me 4 features that can be seen during the maturity phase of a product in its life cycle? So if we can start the countdown timer, please, Jim. Answers in the chat window. Have a think about what might be happening to sales, the competition, those sorts of ideas, just to get recapping some of this core knowledge from last year. Okay, there's some answers just coming into the chat window now. Give you a couple more seconds if you're still typing. There's a little bit of disagreement, and there's some explanation provided by a couple of us here. That's nice to read. Again, top contributions, folks. Thanks for getting involved. Let's take a look at the 4 that we picked out. Don't worry if you've got something slightly different to this. There's obviously a number of different answers that you could have picked. So as a product enters the maturity phase, we would expect sales to still be growing, but the rate of growth is likely to slow down. Why is that? Well, as many of you have alluded to in the chat window, I'm just putting Aaron's answer out here, it's probably because more competition has been incentivized to enter the market and they'll have eroded some of those sales. Or it could even be the case that everyone who wants a product has essentially bought it and we're sort of reaching maximum interest. A business is likely to be operating at higher levels of capacity utilization. In some circumstances, it might even be that the business is operating overtime shifts, and therefore it could even be working at over 100% capacity utilization. Stronger cash flow is likely to be seen as well as the product is more popular, the product or service, of course, and weaker competition, weaker competitors are likely to have left the market. Okay. I can see many of you have put that not much promotions needed, saturation of the market, higher levels of profit. Again, they're all fantastic answers. Note, with a topic like this, it's tempting to make all of the answers marketing related, but as you progress into the second year of your studies and you start to tackle more of the synoptic type questions, you can relate more of these answers to different business functions on a whole, and that gives you that more holistic understanding. So, great contributions so far. If we can take a look at some exam goal, please, Jim. So the product life cycle, cash flow, and marketing are all intrinsically linked, as I've just alluded to. Now, what's really important is to make sure you know the how and the why in terms of marketing, in terms of why it needs to change during those different stages of the life cycle. And most importantly, and this is sometimes neglected by students, what's going to be the impact on cash flow during different stages. It's so tempting for students to always default to this means that profit will either increase or decrease in their answers, but we know that cash flow is the lifeblood of any business, so it's really important to be able to link that back to the product life cycle. I'm now going to hand you over to Mike for the suitcase scanner.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. This is a favourite of mine. I know you like your, some of the other activities, but suitcase scanner for me is a favourite. So what you need to do is spot the error on the Boston matrix diagram. Spot the error or errors in the Boston matrix diagram, and put your answers in the chat window, please. This is fast and furious. This is quick, so pay attention here. Let's go for it, please, Jim. So quick. I think we could go again if we could, please, Jim. We'll do one more time, please. Brilliant stuff. And I can see in the chat window that the answers are coming through, and we're spotting a mistake or the mistakes. Let's have a look at the correct answer, please, Jim. There we go, and some even able to explain it. Absolutely brilliant. The quality of the answer in the chat window here today, we say this all the time, but the quality of the answer in the chat window today are seriously impressive. So the cash cow and stars are the wrong way round. Cash cows should have a high market share of a low growth market. Stars, high growth market, high market share. So stars and cash cows are the wrong way round. And I think we've had 6 or 7 answers that came through correctly there before the activity was even finished. Really well done. Not often you get a Boston matrix in a suitcase. Quite right, Jim. So this activity is called On Balance. What I'd like you to do, please, is to think of an advantage, first of all, to a business of using the Boston matrix to help with corporate planning. So give one advantage of using the Boston matrix to help with corporate planning. Pop your answer in the chat window. Just focus on advantages to begin with. Just one advantage. You don't have to go into lots of detail here. One advantage to a business of using the Boston matrix to help with a business's corporate planning. And in a moment, we'll look at the opposite. It's called on balance for a reason. Let's focus on the advantage first of all. I know people are typing away there furiously, trying to put forward their advantage or advantages. Why is using the Boston Matrix for corporate planning helpful? Thank you for your contribution so far. Let's have a look at a couple of suggestions. So I'm hearing that it's a good visual aid showing where a business's products are if they are balanced. It allows allocation of resources towards certain products, helps with decision making of funding allocation. Yeah, so the answers coming through the chat windows I've just said, absolutely spot on. Here's what we've put as our suggested answers, by no means the only answers to this. So it can show a business what products it has that are cash cows, identify the cash cows, and the cash cows can be milked in order to use revenues to support question marks or stars. So the revenues from cash cows can be used to support other products. And it also helps a business to consider which products or brands that it has that are in growing markets. So they can focus resources towards those ones. The ones that are in growing markets, they can focus towards. The ones that are in low growth markets, perhaps they will take resources away from. Top quality stuff. There's so much stuff coming through in the chat window. I can't possibly look at all of it now. But what I will ask you to do, please, is just to think about a disadvantage. One possible disadvantage of using the Boston Matrix with corporate planning. Pop your answer in the chat window. The detail and the explanations in some of these answers is really, really good. So think about a disadvantage. We need a balanced response here. So we need to think of the opposite side of the argument, and that this case, a disadvantage of using the Boston Matrix. Yep, so Asheen saying some goods might not be able to be categorized. Okay, it might be difficult to decide on categories. That's a valid point. May need extensive data to place each product, so it could be time consuming, gathering this information. And Jim, there it's just a conceptual model. May not be easy to decide where a product fits. And some really detailed responses coming through from you. Let's have a look and see what we've put. So it doesn't account for the width of market definition. It doesn't tell us how to define a market. So for example, a business producing footwear might produce trainers that are aimed at numerous different markets. Okay, so how do we pinpoint the market and what we mean by that? And lots of you are getting towards that. It might also cause a business to focus too much on market share or market growth objectives rather than on product development and developing products. It also perhaps assumes that businesses, that market share doesn't predict how much cash a product generates. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that the product is profitable. Really quality answers coming through there. As I've said before, seriously impressed. Thank you so much for your contributions. Pete, do you want to just talk us through the recap?
Yeah, and just to echo your comments there, Mike, some of those contributions in the chat window are absolutely outstanding. I think I always tell my students that they can learn really well from each other. So jot down some of those points from the chat window there, folks. Top answers. So a quick recap on the Boston Matrix. The Boston Matrix categorizes products into one of 4 different areas. And the key here is that we're basing that categorization solely on 2 variables, market share and market growth. Star products are those with a high market share and they exist in high growth markets. Cash cows, as Mike said earlier, those are the products that can be milked or the services that can be milked. Those are products with high market share in low growth markets. It's always good to have an example, as I said earlier, to back each of these up that you can refer back to for context. A question mark or a problem child is a product with a low market share, but the market itself is experiencing high growth rates. Finally, a dog is a product with a low market share in a low growth market. So what does this all mean? Ideally, businesses would prefer products in all categories apart from dogs to give it a balanced portfolio of products. And as Jim said in the chat earlier, what's key is that the products most likely will require different marketing strategies in order to achieve success. So that's it from the recap. Let's go back over to Jim. Thank you again for the contributions, folks.
Wow. Amazing stuff. I just noticed in chat earlier that there was a request for a shout out to the MGS Massive. So let's get that done. A big shout out to the Macclesfield Girls' School students who've joined us tonight. I'm assuming that's right. Or could it be Maidstone Grammar School? Or I don't know. Anyway, MGS students, many thanks for joining us along with everybody else. Loads of fantastic answers. I mean, just we say it each week, don't we? But if anything, the answers are getting better. Would you say, Mike, Pete?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the answers, and I'm looking back through some of them now. The answers were really, as a colleague of ours would say, tippity top. You know, they are absolutely first rate. Some of the answers.
Superb stuff.
Yeah, well done, everyone.
Many thanks for joining us live. We know that we have hundreds. In fact, some of our live stream replays have had 10,000 students watch them this year. So it's great if you get a chance to join us live. We really do appreciate it. It makes doing the session so enjoyable, so fulfilling. So thank you for that. Of course, if you're joining us on replay, thanks for getting involved and watching the session too. If you found it useful, give it a thumbs up on YouTube, which makes us all very happy, but also helps the YouTube algorithm suggest this content to other A-level business students. Perhaps they're doing some revision ahead of mocks. If you've got mocks and assessments coming up before Christmas, all the best with those, or just after. You've got a bit more time. So do go to tutorT.net/live. I think we've got about 25 or 30 A-level business sessions now we've done. Obviously, we've got lots more coming up this term, but if there's some stuff in there that will be useful for you to revise from, dive into it, give it a go, maybe for half an hour here and there. You'll see Mike, Pete, Graham, Susan, the team have been involved in it this year. It's been amazing. Right, I think we're just about done, aren't we? Any final thoughts, Mike, Pete, before we sign off and disappear?
One more thing from me. I noted a question earlier and I didn't respond to it. There was a question in the chat window just about advice on timings. And the one thing I'd say to that is practice working under time conditions. Practice putting yourself in that pressure situation. I think that's probably the overriding thing I'd say. And that's it from me. Thanks everyone for your contributions.
No, I'd agree with you too, Mike. Practice every question. And again, thanks for the contributions. Makes it so worthwhile.
Superb. And as always, big thanks to Mike and Pete. I know you've had a really busy day teaching. In fact, the day isn't finished, is it, with parents' evenings and marking and all kinds of other stuff. So we appreciate you taking some time out to put this fantastic session together, as always. So look, it's a date, isn't it? It's Tuesday at 4:30 for A-level business. So hopefully we'll see you all live next week or on replay. But for now, see you later.
Bye, everyone.